Okay, so for this one, this is my abstraction. The first sentence says, suppose I promise to keep a confidence and someone asks me a question that I cannot truthfully answer without thereby breaking the promise. All right, so first of all, I'm thinking, this is a hypothetical, right? It says suppose. And in this hypothetical, we have a situation where you make a promise and then someone asks you a question and that question will force you to break the promise, right? Okay? And obviously one cannot both keep and break the same promise. Okay, that makes sense. Therefore, one cannot be obliged to both answer all questions truthfully and to keep all promises. Because they added the words all in this conclusion, right? It made this argument somewhat valid. What's the abstraction here? You have two actions, right? And you can't do one without not doing the other. Like you can't do both at the same time.
Well, you have two things that you have to do, but they're mutually exclusive.
That's right. They can't both be done, right? And therefore, one cannot be obliged to do both, basically. Okay? So we're looking for something that says the same thing. The answer to choice A, it is claimed that we have the unencumbered right to say whatever we want. Sweet. It is also claimed that we have the obligation to be civil to others. How is this parallel to... What are some aspects of these sentences that are parallel to the original sentences? Yeah?
I thought you could use formal logic for this.
Okay.
So I use X and Y,
Mm-hmm.
Z then not Y.
I think that's getting really abstract. Paul, I think it might make it harder.
I think it makes it easier,
Okay. If it makes it easier for you, then you should do that. But in general, I think I want to make this abstract so I can try to fit another argument on top of it. But sometimes if we go too abstract, we can forget what the abstraction represents.
I thought you could just go through the next ones then and look to see if they have an X and a Y that proves Z and then not Z, because it was the only one that did.
Okay. Well, the one thing I was looking for here is the fact that it says it is claimed. What is that similar to? Suppose, right? It's not saying that these things are true. It's just saying, hey, let's assume that they're true. Or so that's kind of like the beliefs versus facts thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And we have these two competing things, and it says, so it cannot be true that both we have the unencumbered right to say what we want and that we have the duty to be civil. Yes, we cannot do both of them. So I would keep this one open. And then I'd still feel like I have to go through the rest, because you can have something that's parallel, but you can have something that's even more parallel, right? So it comes down to how quickly can you get rid of these other answers or keep them. Answer choice B, what's the first clue we should get rid of this? Some politicians could attain popularity. If we said some politicians claim or believe or say or something like that, then that would be similar to answer choice A. But this is a fact, right? This is not a belief. This is some politicians could attain popularity with voters only making extravagant promises. Okay, but then the next thing says this, however, would deceive the people. At this point, notice what we have here is we have one thing leading to another, and then that's leading to a third thing. That doesn't match the original. So I got rid of this at this point. Answer choice C. I was a little surprised by the word if. I kept going though, and the very last sentence, so whatever we do, we risk her criticism. That's not at all the same, right? We can't do both option A and option B, so that's out. Answer choice D. Answer choice D does the same thing as B. It says if something happens, then something else will happen. And then it says, if that other thing happens, then another thing happens. It's like a chain. It's like A leads to B, B leads to C. Not at all like the original, so that's out. And same with E is the same problem as C. The conclusion says, so we will have to keep our business hours as they stand. That's not, we can't do two things. It's, we have to do one thing. That's weird. So one thing you can do is just focus in on the conclusions and see if the conclusions are similar, because it's like a way to sort of zero in on one part of the argument. If they are similar, then you have to look at the rest of the argument, but it's an easy way to get rid of these answers. Questions about this one? Were we tempted by any of these? D. Oh, how do you feel about D now? Was my explanation too fast?
No, I think it's good.
Makes sense? Okay. So basically, as soon as I read the also, right, in D, it says if a business has obligations, I was like, wait, that's just tagging on to the then clause of the previous sentence. That we didn't see that kind of chain in the original, so it's out. Feel 100% good about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, any other questions on this one? All right.